I'm gonna tell you, the cliffhanger to this volume of Berserk is nasty. Just straight up freaking nasty. You're leaving me on a cliffhanger like this. You leave me on a cliffhanger like this, Berserk. I really don't appreciate that at all. I really don't. I'm getting to see the rematch of Serpico versus Guts. And you're telling me you fucking cliffhanger me on this at the end of the volume. Like, there's nothing left. It's it. Kinda mad. I'm kinda mad because you know how I am. I read a volume a week, and ending me on a nasty cliffhanger like that is a bitch slap to the face. So, I don't know how to feel about that. I really don't know how to feel about that. So, yeah. I also like the dialogue in this. Like, you know, here, let me exactly say the dialogue that Serpico says. Something tells me I would not win against you head on. I do hope you understand. That fucking dialogue from the first meeting of Serpico and Guts, or technically not the first meeting, their first actual fight. On the cliff top, on the edge of the cliff, where Serpico actually bested Guts. That dialogue, man, that was just so iconic when I heard that dialogue. I was like, I fucking inner fangasmed. I fucking inner fangasmed when I heard that dialogue from Serpico saying he is going to use anything he can to beat Guts. I'm like, fuck. So, I can expect to see Guts versus Serpico in the next volume, which has me kind of hyped. I am really hyped to see what is going to happen in that fight, because, I mean, I know for a fact these two, knowing their characters and judging by their characters, there's no way in fuck they're going to take it easy on each other. They won't. I know for a fact none of them will. That's just the personality of Guts and Serpico, so they will definitely be fighting with their all. Like, the face Serpico gave Guts when he opened his eyes and all that, that was his rape face. When he puts on that rape face, you should expect some major shit to go down. So, Serpico is going to do anything he can to beat the shit out of Guts or kill him, pretty much, and Guts, likewise. I mean, he broke through a fucking pillar at the end just to get to Serpico, so yeah. So, anyways, besides that overall conclusion, let's, you know, talk about it. So, the ending conclusion, from what I can understand, signifies that Serpico is not going to allow Guts to save Farnese from her decision of marrying that one dude called Roderick. I think that dude's name is called Roderick. But pretty much, Serpico's not going to allow Guts and, you know, his fellow companions to interrupt this marriage arrangement, which leads to that conflict at the end of this volume. So, kind of pissed, but, I mean, So, let's dive in. I want to talk about the, beginning parts of this volume first. So, it starts off with the conflict, like how the last volume left off. We get to see how these, like, pirate dudes or whatever, yeah, I guess actually they could be considered pirates. They're not technically slave traders, even though they used to be pirates. So, anyways, these pirate people, they were actually going into the slave trade to sell Kushan children. And right off the bat, when I started this, volume, it set the overall mood and groundwork for this volume. And just to see how the Kushan are having prejudice pressed against him, it's kind of sickening. I mean, we got to see a glimpse of this in the last volume, as I discussed, and with this volume, we get to see how these children are technically considered contraband by the locals, or the government of this town, and it's kind of fucked up, really. It really is, because, I mean, children are being considered as contraband, and just, since they're being called contraband, that instantly rings a bell in my mind saying, these people, these slave traders and the government think of these Kushan children as if they were items or objects. And people are not fucking objects. But, I mean, there has been people in the course of history that do think this shit, and it's kind of fucked up. But, I mean, that's exactly what the government thinks. They think that these Kushan are objects. And I'm like, that's fucked up, bro. That's just straight up fucked up. And so, these pirates, pretty much, they get fucked with by, Sonia, I think that's the girl's name, the medium girl, I think her name is Sonia. She gets fucked up these pirates get fucked up by Sonia, Shurike, and then Isidro comes out and beats the shit out of them, starts trouble, and I'm like, oh man. So, pretty much Isidro. that's one of the main segments of, like, the beginning part of this volume I do need to cover. So, he gets a little bit of development. And Isidro, out of all the characters I have seen through the course of this journey since Guts got his new companions, Isidro is a very interesting character I do want to know more about. He has a lot of mystery about him, and at the exact same time, he has a lot of room to grow into a very good and badass fucking character in the future. I know for a fact he has so much potential. He does. And the one thing I saw in this volume, we find out that Isidro can't, like, take someone's life. Or, technically, he could if he wanted, but at the exact same time, he can't. Let me dive in and explain. So, pretty much, in this chapter, this was the first time ever Isidro shed blood from an enemy. For instance, the first time he ever attacked a human being and made them shed blood in this volume. And I'm like, so he's never actually attacked anyone on his journey before he found Guts. Like, he's never attacked anyone. And I've never actually keyed in on that factor that Isidro has never actually drew blood with a sword against someone. So to see him do that in this volume, it shows another stepping stone for his character. More characterization, a little bit of development, and finding out more about his backstory. Like, the pirate in this volume that, Isidro fights on the boat, the rocky boats, he actually talks about Isidro's situation, saying, like, he's like a whelp, a young whelp that can't fight, his blade doesn't have any bloodlust on it, and he couldn't even be considered a swordsman because of his entire attitude towards wielding a blade. And so, pretty much, Isidro got the bitch slapped by the pirate dude, pretty much besting him, kicking the shit out of him, and luckily enough, he got saved. But the thing is, though, is that Isidro now is at that moment where he needs to actually choose a path, and he also needs to become a lot stronger. Like, Isidro, as we know, he wants to become a great swordsman. He wants to become pretty much the apprentice of Guts, in which technically you can already consider he is the apprentice of Guts, but either way, Isidro wants to be a great swordsman. And I know the journey of this series, we have seen characters grow. We have seen a lot of characters grow. For instance, Guts. We've seen Farnese grow quite a fucking bit. Like, oh my god. Farnese's growth as a character is just stunning. Like, when I saw this volume and I saw Farnese go into her house, and you see the difference between how she started of volume 17 to this volume, I'm like, holy fuck. Like, you don't key in on the development she actually has had until you really see this volume, which I will get into that. So, Isidro, seeing him grow, I'm really curious exactly what path he's going to choose. Like, is he going to take the path of what Guts did? Is he going to eventually learn to be more ruthless? Is he going to try to get better at sword skills? Or is he really going to try to increase his throwing ability? With, throwing rocks, throwing shit, and darts. I mean, I'm curious what path Isidro is going to take. I really am. He has incredible potential for a character, incredible potential as a person, and I wonder exactly where he will stand at the end of this journey. I really am so interested to see where he will stand. So, besides that, let's move on to the next segment. The medium, Sonia. Like I said, hopefully I said her name correct. Sonia has a lot of mystery growing around her. And I am questioning a lot of things about her character. Now, in the last volume, with the overall owl and kite conversation between, Shurike and her, pretty much we found out she is technically the only person that could fly on the same level as Griffith and understand him. Not even the demons or the dragons, as she symbolized, would understand Griffith. But she is the only one that can. Now, I don't know necessarily if that is because of her jealousy and her love for Griffith, or if she truly can back up that claim, because there's two ways I can go. In this volume, I noticed it was very apparent she is jealous. Sonia is just straight up jealous of the princess. Like, she really wants to be with Griffith a lot. Crusty fucking Griffith. She wants to be with him. And the thing is, okay, she clearly has this attitude about her. Like, she showed no compassion towards the princess in this volume when she was delivering snacks and confections and stuff to give to Griffith before he goes to war. She interrupted that, and she fucked it up, grabbed a snack without asking, gave it to her, partner called Mule. I think that's his name. That's a fucked up name anyways. But gave, her partner Mule a confection, and he, they all started eating and stuff, and pretty much it killed the overall romantic mood that the princess was trying to set up with Griffith. And so this just shows you some characterization for Sonia, that she's a very jealous girl, and she also has somewhat of a tragic past, which was hinted in the last volume. It was said that, technically she could be considered an ugly duckling. And they kind of twisted that story, made it a little bit darker, Kentaro did. But, I mean, she was technically considered like an ugly duckling, and she had a rough past. And she pretty much goes into that with this volume. Like, she hints that she had a terrible past just like, the princess did. So, yeah. Thing is, though, I wonder exactly what role Sonia is going to play, because this is actually very similar to what happened with Casca. Like, I want to be honest, the similarities of Sonia and Casca's situation are very, very, very fucking similar. Like, I mean, I remember in the earlier volumes, volume, I think it was 9, 10, or 11, no, it was 10. Yeah, it was volume 10. And we saw to where Griffith was going to be married, or he was going to be trying to find someone to marry, and he couldn't technically marry Casca because she was just, a bandit, mercenary, and technically since Griffith was part of a royalty and he was a noble, he had to marry someone of noble status. And so technically Casca could not get to that, status like, Griffith was. And Sonia is technically in that same situation that Casca was. So I'm here looking at this like, this is gonna end bad. Fucking bad. Like, we know the route what happened to Casca. She got fucking rejected, and she could never be with Griffith. Even if Griffith didn't go on the path of evil, like he is now, being a god hand, it would have never have happened. It wouldn't have. And the actual relations of this volume play a lot with that overall similarities with, Casca and Griffith, and Sonia and Griffith, the princess and Griffith, and then you have it to where Farnese and her lover, that's her fiance that she's about to wed to. There is a lot of romance and weddings going on and relationships going on in this volume, and that's exactly what the themes of this volume is. I mean, pretty much you have it to where Sonia wants to be with Griffith, but she can't. And we know for a fact the princess is definitely going to be with Griffith. It's obvious. It's just straight up obvious, because he wants a kingdom to be, a rightful successor to the throne of the kingdom, be the king of Midland. He has to marry the princess, become her bloodline, and pretty much everybody most likely will probably accept Griffith in the future. I don't know if they will or not. Probably will be some form of struggle, but the point of the matter is that he will choose the princess instead of Sonia. So, I wonder exactly what type of girl Sonia is. Is she the crazy type? Would she kill the princess over jealousy? Or is she the type that will, go back? And then there's other things, too, I question about her. Besides the overall romance aspect, I question her powers. Like she said in the last volume, she's very similar to Griffith. Like, she can understand him. And as I just said, it seems to me like it might be jealousy. But there's something else going on here. Because in this, she actually can listen in on thought transference that Shurike was doing with Guts and Isidro and all that. And I'm like, the fuck? Like, she was literally listening in on thought transference, and I'm like, that shouldn't be happening. Like, that should not be happening. And the only way that should happen is if you're skilled at magic. And Sonia hasn't really shown any elements about her to be, like, yeah, I guess, a witch. She's technically not a witch, so how did she get this power? Like, she states that she could hear voices and see things when she was young, but what is she? What is Sonia? A lot of questions, because she could hear thought transference, that's one thing. We know for a fact multiple chapters back, or multiple volumes back, around volume 24, I think it was 24, yeah, volume 24, she actually could see in the dark. And she also she isn't scared of demons, which is weird in of itself. Like, that's pretty fucked up, too. She's not scared of demons. She could see in the dark. And she actually seems like she can see the future. The short-term future and the long-term future. Like, let me explain. In this volume, we have two different actual abilities that kind of are revealed for her character. For one, the commander dude, I forget the dude's name. Isn't his name Isa or I forget the mustache commander's dude's name. I really do. I really just want to slap myself right now. I'm not remembering that dude's name. He was in the Tower Conviction arc. He survived. He disappeared. Izon? I think it's Izon? Izan? God, it starts with a fucking A. It does. I cannot remember. That's going to pain me so bad right now. It really is. But anyways, that commander dude, he appears. And right before he appears to save Isidro in this volume, Sonia actually detected that Isidro was going to be okay. Like, she knew, like a panel right before it happens. I had to reread it twice just to make sure I understood it. She knew that dude was there and technically would save Isidro. Like, everything was fine. So, it seems to me like she could see the short-term future. And then, on top of that, in the exact same volume, and like I think the exact same chapter too, we see her actually give a vision of the town on fire. And I mean, at the end of the volume, we see this tiger-looking thing attacking and killed some soldiers through the fog. And I mean, we know the fog. The fog was the Kushan soldiers that we saw multiple volumes back that technically were with the Emperor. So, the Emperor's about to attack and the city's about to burn. And technically, she gave, I guess, some form of a prophecy, or she could see the future to Shurike. So, I'm questioning, like, what is she? Is she really fucking human? Like, is she really fucking human? I don't even know if I can consider her human, because, I mean, I guess she could be a witch, but even then, I mean, I don't even think, you know, Shurike could see the future. So, I don't know really what to classify Sonia as. But anyways, besides that, I mean, besides some mystery behind her background, her character, her jealousy, and stuff like that, let's move into the other points of this volume. So, we have Farnese make a decision, pretty much, to actually where Guts and his company can continue their journey. Pretty much Farnese gives up herself to go back to her family's ill estate, and she gets a ship for Guts and everybody can ride to where the Elf Island is. And so, Farnese does an actual sacrifice. And we know for a fact from her character through these past couple volumes, she has really, really wanted to learn magic. She's shown a lot of love towards it. She's also shown a lot of compassion and difference in the way her character has changed through the course of this journey. And when you see her sacrifice herself, it shows some more development with Farnese, but at the exact same time, it's like her character's trying to regress back to where she was in the earlier volumes, like how she was in volume 17, 18, 19, 20, stuff like that. Pretty much her character's trying to regress back into that state, and I'm not liking that at all, but this is also a good time to actually see how far she has grown as a character. Farnese in this, seeing her standpoint when she went into this ill estate, her father's ill estate, it really shook me up. Because, like I said earlier on in this video, I did not realize how much she developed until I actually saw the development in this volume. Her walking into this ill estate with not noble clothing, men's type clothing, and she is a female. And instantly, all these bells popped up in my head, and I'm like, holy shit. Knowing this series, knowing the setup, knowing how the royalty and nobles are in this series and how everything works, that's actually fucking major in of itself right there. Her wearing, like, men's clothes as a freaking noble into where her father is. That right there in of itself is just massive change. And then, on top of that, the changes of how she, I guess, bathed alone. She bathed alone. She realized she was alone. She was used to being in a small, secluded bath with Casca and all that. And she had a lot of fun. She was surrounded by warmth. But she has this big fucking bath in her house that, oh my god, it's a dream bath, but she's very lonely. We see her differences that she was when she was with Guts, and especially on top of that, when she got dressed too after the bath, pretty much she didn't put her own clothes on. These maids and servants and stuff pretty much put the clothes on for her, which also symbolizes technically where she stood as a noble. And to see how she did this by herself and she didn't complain through the journey, it just shows you her development. And I'm like, fuck. Like, I could not believe it. And so, a very, very good volume to showcase Farnese's development. Like, it did a damn good job showing that. And then on top of this, you know, her willing to sacrifice herself for her friends, to giving up, you know, learning magic. Like, she still wants to learn magic. We see an example of this in this volume. She's holding the apple in the middle of the courtyard by herself when she's already dressed up nice and pretty and stuff. She's, you know, holding this apple trying to learn still, even though she's lonely. So clearly, she does care about Guts and them. And she does want to learn. So, it's kind of sad. It really, really is. And on top of that, you have Sir Pico. I mean, he's also pained, too. You could tell he really is pained to see, you know, his sister, technically, in this situation. He really is. And so, I mean, the overall aspect of him fighting Guts is kind of like him accepting Guts. Like, Guts, beat me, and we'll do this, pretty much. So, I like it. I really like that. I love the development. It was a good way to develop her character, and it's a great way to showcase her development and Sir Pico's development at that. So, moving past that, the volume overall. It was a very slow-paced volume. Pretty much shows you how important Farnese is to the overall group, of how she cares for Casca, to how, you know, how Sir Pico makes good food, and she helps everybody out. Just overall, you can't really give up Farnese. She is really, really important to the group, and she technically does not realize that, but everybody else does. So, hopefully she will realize if she does come back that she is very important to the group's overall survival. Even though she may not fight on the front lines, at the very same time, she actually does give moral support to the group. So I hope she understands that she is very important. So, one more thing I do want to talk about is Shiraka's father complex. Like, fuck. Like, whoa. That father complex is just, damn. Came out of fucking nowhere. Just right out of the fucking nowhere. Like, left field or right field technically just hits you in the face. I'm like, whoa. So, pretty much, we see a lot of demonstrations of Shiraka and her father complex towards Guts. Guts watching over her, especially with the clothing. How Guts punches this dude in the face to actually make this dude pay up for what this dude did to Shiraka's dress. For instance, spilling alcohol on the dress. So, seeing Guts do this, it doesn't really help the father complex. It's actually kind of making it worse. But, I mean, it shows development between those two characters and their bonds. And I quite like that. I like how Guts technically is kind of like a father figure to Shiraka. And Shiraka at the exact same time is like a daughter figure to technically Guts, and to see that, it kind of makes me happy, and to see the adorableness of her. Like, for instance, when she tried to feed Guts, she's like, say ah, and he wouldn't say ah. Dude, Guts saying fucking ah is the day the world ends, okay? I'm sorry. If you're gonna give Guts a spoon of food, okay, and you're telling him to say ah, like, you know, what Shiraka was trying to make Guts do, that is the day the world ends. It does. It will fucking end if that happens. And so when you have it to where Shiraka's having a spoon of food at Guts, and he's like, say ah, like ah, you see her face widen when she gets all sad. I'm like, fuck, and that's just like, oh my god, fucking adorable, just straight up adorable. So, that's pretty much the volume. That pretty much is this volume of Berserk. It was a great volume, and I can't wait to read the next volume. That cliffhanger is a bitch, so yeah. Tell me your thoughts in the comments below. I love you all so much. You have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe, and Chibi out.